Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. I decided to go the alternate approach for this week's discussion post, as at this point I've been working on this for about 2 hours and my brain is just fried. So I did the assessment and it came out. First of all, I have a couple that are pretty close, but one has like stood out from everything else. So I'm going to start with the two that are like tied. The two that are tied for 18 points was Reconstructionalism and Behavioralism. And I think the behavioralism is strong in my theories because when I used to work in the IU, I resigned from there back in 2014, something like that. It's like blurring together. It was 2013 because my daughter would have been 7. So they drilled into us the behavioralism aspect of it, like positive reinforcement and differential reinforcement and withholding reinforcement and verbal behavior and all this stuff. So that's where the behavioral, even in my own life with raising my own child, it's all behavioral. Then I scored, so that one, those were 19 on constructionalism and cognitivism. So it says that reality through acting upon and reflected on experiences in the world. I always try to explain things, even to my daughter, even to the students I worked with at school. I always try to explain why. I myself need to be explained why. Why is this happening? Why should I do this? Why do I need to think like this? Why do I need to know this? So I always tried to explain, like, hey guys, this is your school. You should know what's going on in it. If you don't like it, then you can create this very creative, not an accusatory, pointing your finger at people, bad, but you should speak your opinion. And if you speak it in a respectful tone, then people are respecting you and things will get done. So the one I'm number top, like it kind of almost was perfect across the board. It was 4 5s and 1 2. Was humanism. And it says the perspective of human potential for growth, becoming the best one that one can be. Beliefs include that human beings can control their own destiny. We're inherently good and would strive for a better world. People are free to act, must be responsible. Behavior is a consequence of human choice. The people possess unlimited potential for growth and development, natural tendency for people to learn, which will flourish if nourished and encourage environments are provided. So my life verse is Genesis 50:20, and it's what you have intended for evil, God is intended for good, the saving of many lives. I'd grown up abused, bullied, and so I believe God allowed those negative things to happen in my life because I can now help others. So when I'm in a school and I see a kid that is not the popular kid, or the kid that doesn't get along or seems to be struggling or has low self-esteem, I'm able to take my personal life experience and almost not come and like preach at them, but I understand, where you're coming from. I don't go into full self-disclosure unless it calls for it. But I am pretty open about my life. I also, whenever I go into a new room, a new classroom for the first time with students I don't really know, I put up on the board 3 facts about myself. And I try to keep it within a subject matter. So like if it's an instrumental room, I play the alto sax. If it's a theater room, I'm into acting. I do plays outside of school. I do plays in community theater. If it's math, it's like my favorite math is algebra. It really is. One time I went into a high school economics class and I wrote, economics was the only class I passed with a 61% ever in my life. So sometimes it's things like that. Sometimes it's things like I love to travel. I have 2 cats. I have 2 guinea pigs. I have a daughter. She's 14. I'm married. I live in Allentown, because I believe once you've connected that human side of yourself, then you're less like people look at people like the president, or they look at people like a giant corporate, somebody who owns a corporation, or the mayor, or chief of police, or police officer, or, their teachers. And they don't see them as humans who actually have the same innate inside of them of what makes them drive in the morning. Like, you have people that love you, you have people that love you have interests, and you have compassion, and you have things. So once I make that human connection to them, then they see me as not just a person. I put my pants on the same way y'all put your pants on in the morning too, 1 foot in at a time. I'm not special. I don't walk on water. I don't glow in the dark. And I think sometimes students and people that are under authority in general don't see that connection. They just see them as untouchable. And I don't want to be untouchable. So I would say that this is pretty almost dead on. And I think I kind of already answered, the beliefs affect the classroom, because I make myself more human. I had this transitional activity this year for when I subbed, not when I was permanently in the same classroom from February till June, because those kids had gotten to know me, pretty well at that point. But towards the beginning of the year, I had created a Kahoot. How well do you know Mrs. Gross? And I had like 20 questions in there, and every now and then I'd add another question, because more kids, more times I was in different classrooms. Sometimes I had a kid that was already, in that classroom, and it was just fun. And be like, do I like cats more than dogs? Do I, I've traveled. Where was the furthest place I've traveled? And it was a good, like, conversation piece, like a good tone where people got to actually see, and it opened up doors to be like, yeah, you went to Colorado, so did I, my uncle lives in Colorado, things like that. Or you like cats, you have 2 cats, I have 5, and it just really connected. And then I always told the kids that that this was their safe space, because it was art, and that was the whole purpose of them in the school. It was a charter school for different arts. There's 7 different forms of arts, and this just so happened to be visual art, which is like my probably 3rd on the bottom. And so I told them, this is the purpose you're here at this school. You don't come to this, because if you didn't care about art, you just go to some other school. You go to whatever your neighborhood school is. And this is the whole purpose you're here. You don't, no offense to the science teacher, but you don't come here because we have an awesome science program. That's not what this school is for. You come here for that. This is I want to create, and I would tell them flat out. And I had a lot of different types of personalities to kids that, were on the LGBTQ, and kids that interests in like weird things, like things that you didn't think kids were interested. Like the one girl made this sculpture. Oh, that's a neat looking sculpture. Tell me about it. And she, oh, that's my sleep paralysis demon. I was like, okay. But so, these kids, not for a lack of a better term, but they wouldn't fit in the norms of the society. So I always told them, this is your safe space. This is what I want to create with you guys. This is where I want you to come and create. I want you to, there is no pressure. In math, you have to do math. It has to be done this way to get the right answer. In reading, you have to read in a certain way. You can't read, from the middle to the top to the bottom. It won't make sense. But in art, there is no proper way to do things. Like, there's way to, you can manipulate a material, but there's not like, nobody's gonna grade you on your knowledge. And this is where you're free to be who you individually are. And then I noticed, like, the last month of school, kids were actually requesting to come into the room. And I think I had, by that point, I was successful, I realized, and I created that safe space for these children. And it was a great feeling, because I saw how from the beginning of the year there was this uncertainty and wear a mask everywhere, and to like now we're like open. And it just was a neat feeling once these kids could trust me, even though difficult kids who had behavioral problems, and I found it, to be rewarding. So that's my take on this. Hope it is thorough enough, and thank you for watching. See ya.